we go. Everything's slowed down again. Here we go.
Welcome, everybody, to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show featuring Dr. Carolyn Dean. Join Dr. Dean for the next 2 hours, along with her host, cohort, and good buddy, Ginny Sanders, also known as Ginny Almighty. Join Dr. Dean as she shares with us her vast range of experience, knowledge, talent, and wisdom. Phone lines are now open, and we'll be taking your calls from around the world and here in the USA.
Welcome everybody. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. I'm Ginny Sanders, also known as Ginny Almighty, and I'll be your co-host this evening for the next 2 hours, along with our very own absolutely wonderful Dr. Carolyn Dean, a board-certified doctor, naturopath. She is a clinical nutritionist. She is a herbalist and acupuncturist. She is amazing and extraordinary in every way, and a leader in the health freedom movement for many, many, many years, having over 40 years of experience and wisdom in the feeling of natural health and vitality, along with many modalities. She's here to speak to you tonight, America and the globe. And you're so fortunate really to be able to have this opportunity to talk with her, to share with her wisdom, learn at the feet of the very Dr. Dean. And I say that because I have been learning from her for almost 10 years now. And I can say it's just an extraordinary privilege. And it's amazing how many people are learning from her to this day, and the way that she influences the field of medicine and the field of public health with her particular brand of wisdom and awareness as to how to use nutrients and our own body's natural resource to heal and preserve our bodies and to extend and to sustain life. And she does it with such ease and grace. She's such a humble woman. Very few people actually even know the full depth of her experience, but I have a chance to witness it all the time through our work at rnareset.com, through the incredible testimonials that we get from all over the world, through her work in research and public health, through the professional forums that she's in relationship with, and through some of the private channels that she works through. I have an opportunity to see it all, and it's always an honor and a blessing to be with her and be part of her team. Now, this evening, the opportunity, call in, talk with her one-on-one. If you're here on the phone, 646-558-8656. You have to enter the ID number 8836953587. It's in all the literature that we send out. I'm sure you can find it. Be with us tonight. *9 on your keypad will raise your hand. Let us know we have a question or comment, and we'll put you on in the order of appearance here on the show. You can chat with us through the Dream Vision 7 live chat board, and you can chat with us through YouTube. We'll take all questions that come into the show this evening and answer them live if possible. If for some reason you don't get through or you don't get your question answered in time, We are a busy show. You can email questions, questions, at drcarolyndeanlive.com. That's our radio show blog. And you'll be able to have your question answered after hours or sometime during the week. Without further ado, I want to introduce Dr. Carolyn Dean. As I said, a medical doctor, a naturopath, herbalist, acupuncturist, so many modalities, the conflict basis of disease, so many opportunities to help you heal, grow, and find the poise, the ease, the grace, the health, the vitality, the well-being that you want. Here to talk with you this evening and to bring out the most important leading edge of creation information to you at this time and related to the fields of health. Now, Dr. Dean does not give medical advice on her show, but she will always tell you what she would do if it were her in your shoes. And she's done that a lot because that's kind of how she rolls. So without further ado, we are going to bring her in tonight and say, welcome, Dr. Carolyn Dean.
There they are. Oh, thank goodness they're back and in action. Of course, they sound like they're not saying yay as much as they're just saying, no, no, don't make me. Because it's hard work to take care of your health. You got to do stuff. You got to take action. Isn't that right, Chitty?
Yes, Carolyn. Sorry. Yes, that's absolutely right. You have to take action. And the most important thing is what action to take. And that's where all the confusion comes in, Carolyn, because there's so much information on the internet.
Right.
There's so many books that have been written. There's so many conflicting opinions. I mean, it's just insane. And that's why our audience is so well served with your knowledge and your stability and your wisdom.
Right. And thankfully, we do have the answer. We definitely can tell people the worst is over, and that everything else can just disappear. I truly am amazed week by week when people write in their testimonials and say that we've saved their lives, and they feel better now than they did 20, 30, 40 years ago. I mean, that is awesome. Out in the world now, especially with COVID and us coming to face our mortality. I mean, you can live a lot longer than you think you can. We've been programmed to die after we retire, and that's just totally ridiculous. Bob said he was telling someone on the beach walk the other day, who's some person in their 80s, and he said, well, we have an over 80s club. Our over 80s club are people who are dancing around and feeling great. So yes, the worst is over, and we're here to support you through that. We don't really just put our hand on your head and say, I'll take care of you. We present you the information, you learn, then you decide if you want to take our formulas. And when you take them, you learn so much more. I mean, it is quite incredible. So what we start out the show with is telling you to join the subscription service so that you get your formulas on time every month. You don't have to reorder. We want you to refer your practitioners. That's going great guns. We've got so many people who tell us about their wonderful practitioners, and we say, well, let's send them our practitioner box. Our referral candy, it's not a chocolate bar, as I say, but it's a 15% discount when you purchase. And we want you to get your blood testing done on our home blood test kit. It's just a finger stick. You put drops of blood on a cardboard circle, send it in and find out where you are with your vitamin D, which we'll be talking about today, your omega-3 fatty acids, your TSH, and your magnesium, whole blood and RBC magnesium. So it's more complete than serum magnesium or RBC magnesium. And we're offering coupons to actually match the cost of the test. So you're not out anything when you purchase this test. Our magnesium deficiency survey, by the end of the year, Ginny, we'll have 100,000 people who've completed this survey with statistics that are just mind-boggling. 70% of people with anxiety and insomnia, 60% with muscle cramps, 55% restless legs, 51% with heart palpitations, and 38% with tension headaches and migraines. I mean, it's just incredible the symptoms people have that could be magnesium deficiency, and nobody is telling them to take magnesium. And of course, as I've learned from our customers in the hospitals, doctors just give you magnesium oxide. A wonderful pharmacist who talked with us last week said that that's the reigning magnesium that she has to give people out of her pharmacy. Magnesium oxide, which is only 4% absorbed. So the 96% that you don't absorb, it flushes out through the intestines, causing diarrhea, and makes everybody think that they either don't need magnesium, or they're allergic to it, and they certainly don't keep taking it. And with our Remag, that's what I set out to do. What is it now? It's more like 15 years. I keep saying 10 years. I set out to find a non-laxative magnesium and finally had to make my own. And that's Remag. And we're doing the studies on it. Our first paper that was published in Nutrients, an incredible journal. You can find that the link to that paper at carolyndeanlive.com. It's right at the top, just before we do our weekly blog insert. And on that same site, click on the books. All the books have new versions. If you don't have them, you can download the new version. And just finishing up, yes, that's the announcements for this week, and we'll get right into the show. Except maybe, Ginny, am I leaving anything out in the weekly announcements?
No, I think that's where we're at. We've gone over our referral programs and our doctor program, and all the things we're doing, our Grassroots health research program. And Carolyn, you are sponsoring some people in that research program. People on the radio show heard last week that if you have an interest in doing that and you don't think you can afford the testing, you've got to email Lisa at customer service support at rnareset.com, and Lisa will take your request and see if she can hook you up with a sponsored kit, which means that you would not be paying for your initial testing. So that's also an opportunity.
Wonderful. Awesome. Yes, we're committed to research. We absolutely are committed to research, because you can do things by word of mouth or try something and it works and you do it. But our world, our medical and health world, is to some extent driven by science, the good science, the science that works. So that's what we're committed to as well, doing our own science with reputable universities and doctors, and we follow it, and we will not let anything interfere with doing it the right way. And then with Grassroots Health, this organization, you can check their website at grassrootshealth.net. And this is begun by a woman who had breast cancer, Carol Baggerly. And what she found after she went through her allopathic treatment, I think she went to her doctor, had a low vitamin D level, and I think she lives in California. She couldn't figure out why she had low vitamin D. But then when she went home to do research on, well, what does vitamin D do for you? She found high incidence of breast cancer in women who had low vitamin D. She was appalled. She was so ignited by that information that she started to go to all the vitamin D research conferences that she could find. She ended up very quickly, I think it was at the NIH, where there was a vitamin D conference. She heard all the research, heard how amazing vitamin D is for so many things. And at the end, she stood up and she said, "Where is your sense of urgency? When are you going to tell the public this? When is this information going to get out there?" And she said, nobody said anything. It was just, silence. And then when the conference was over, shortly after that lecture was over, and she was swamped by scientists who said, "Look, if you can help us get this information out there, if you can work with us," I don't know if she identified that she was an engineer and had resources. So with a group of doctors, and mostly on her own initiative, Carol began Grassroots Health Nutrient Research Institute, and the byline is "Moving Research into Practice." And what she began doing is offering this in-home testing. It was just about vitamin D in the beginning. And she began to get people's vitamin D results. In the questionnaires she put with it, she found out whether they were taking vitamin D and how much. And over a short few years, she developed statistics to show that, for example, with breast cancer, women who were taking a certain amount of vitamin D were able to attain a certain level of vitamin D in their blood. And she correlated that with the clinical amount, the amount that clinically a person should take if they want to avoid breast cancer, or if they've had breast cancer to stop its recurrence. And that figure actually, it's a bit high. It's 90 nanograms per milliliter. I used to recommend 30 to 40 nanograms per milliliter. Once I saw Grassroots Health Research, and they say the average person should be getting 40 to 60 nanograms per mil. And they even have a vitamin D calculator where you can put in that you want to be, say, 50 nanograms per mil, and how much vitamin D you're taking. Well, they'll tell you how much you need to get where you want to be. I had an abysmally low vitamin D level of 19. Here I am in Maui, but I avoid the sun. I was taking a vitamin D that I thought should help, but it wasn't. So right away, I started recommending higher vitamin D. We have our own vitamin D product now, so we can be assured of the quality. And it also has vitamin K2 with it, because when you take high dose vitamin D, you require enough magnesium to metabolize that vitamin D into the active form. And you require vitamin K2, which along with magnesium will pull the calcium that you absorb with the help of vitamin D, pull that calcium into the bones and teeth. So that's my vitamin D experience, except to say that when I was a kid, we had to choke back a teaspoon of cod liver oil every morning for our vitamin D. And I think even back then, the IUs that were recommended were about 400. Now I'm saying I have to take 10,000 a day to keep in the high 50s for vitamin D. And what the allopathic vitamin D research spawned was doctors just going, straight cowboy on this and recommending 50,000 units a week, but of vitamin D2, which is synthetic. And they'd see a rise, but then very quickly it would fall back again because it was synthetic and because it wasn't metabolized properly without the proper amounts of magnesium. And what I guess what alerted me in the first place to know that doctors were recommending these preposterous amounts was our Remag customers saying, well, the Remag isn't working anymore. I've got my migraines back, or my high blood pressure, or my angina, or just their symptoms didn't seem to be covered anymore by magnesium, by Remag. And, just a little questioning, or they would offer right away, well, I start taking 50,000 units of vitamin D and I don't feel so good. And when I researched, it didn't take long to find out that 8 of the steps in vitamin D metabolism, from the storage form, the supplement form, or the sun, 8 steps require magnesium. So vitamin D just doesn't work if you don't have magnesium on board. And if you do have some magnesium on board, the vitamin D will steal the magnesium from your bones and muscles in order to metabolize the vitamin D, and you'll be left deficient. So it's just, the whole thing was fascinating to me and scary too for people who were told, well, vitamin D is great and take lots of it, without looking at all the relevant surrounding cofactors. So what we've got this week on our radio show blog that you either received or you see on social media, you can follow it at carolyndeanlive.com. And Ginny writes out about the world awaits a definitive treatment, cure, vaccine for COVID. And studies are showing a significant correlation between a low level of vitamin D in the blood and a greater risk for infection. Now that's huge. It's huge news. Carol Baggerly and her group have put out papers, research papers, giving all these facts about the immune system and vitamin D and the COVID. Yes, there have been actual studies of people with COVID showing, as I continue the blog here, vitamin D deficiency has been shown to increase susceptibility to COVID-19 and increase the risk of the severity, including ICU admission and death. Conversely, other published studies have shown those with higher levels of vitamin D, over 30 nanograms per mil, have a reduced risk of severe symptoms and death. In fact, an analysis of over 190,000 Americans found that having vitamin D levels of at least 50 resulted in a 53% lower positivity rate than those whose levels were less than 20. The first published randomized control trial on vitamin D in COVID-19 found that adding vitamin D to the standard treatment nearly eliminated ICU admissions and did eliminate deaths. These scientific facts, based on research supported by Grassroots Health and other clinical research groups, should have your full and complete attention. However, increasing vitamin D is not in and of itself a solution. And then the blog goes into the high amounts of vitamin D depleting magnesium. the amount of magnesium required to process vitamin D might contribute to more migraine. Well, if you have magnesium deficiency caused by the magnesium being used to metabolize your vitamin D, as I said, you could get more migraines, heart palpitations, AFib, insomnia, etc. While many people are beginning to realize the amazing health benefits from vitamin D, they may not be getting the full benefits without supplementing with magnesium. And this paper that Ginny quotes, Magnesium Vitamin D Status and Mortality in BMC Medicine, displays the detailed flow chart of vitamin D metabolism, showing magnesium is required in 8 crucial steps. So you can go to that blog either in your email or at drcarolyndeanlive.com. Click on that paper, see that chart, flow chart. If you're trying to convince someone of the importance of magnesium and in the supplementation of vitamin D. And another paper demonstrates that magnesium intake significantly interacts with vitamin D in relation to vitamin D status and risk of mortality. So it's ongoing. I know there have even been papers that have said, well, maybe it's the magnesium that's really helping and not just the vitamin D. I mean, they flipped over to the other side. Seriously, you need both. That's all. And our own Dr. Taylor Wallace, who's been on the show, he's our chief of our research. He published an important paper outlining magnesium role itself in immune resilience, providing a summary of experimental findings and knowledge of the biochemical role magnesium may play in the pathogenesis of COVID-19. So all very important. I'll stop for a minute, take a drink of sea salted mineral water, and ask if I've left anything out, Ginny.
Nope, that's absolutely excellent. And one thing, Carolyn, that I thought you might say is I saw on the White House press release that President Donald Trump is taking vitamin D. So it's found an interesting place in mainstream medicine during this COVID thing, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm so glad they're taking note of what we're doing, Ginny. They're taking note. It's wonderful. I mean, even Fauci, someone dug up something he said at some point that he's taking vitamin C and vitamin D. Now, why isn't he standing up on a little 2-foot soapbox, which is what I have to do behind a podium? We're both short. Sorry, Dr. Fauci. But you should be telling the American people or the people of the world how important vitamin D and vitamin C are for their immune system. Why should you be taking it and not telling people? I take what I take, and everybody knows what I take because I tell them. So there, knock that in your little brain. Vrr.
That's Carolyn's fighting words. But yes, no, this is what I say. The people who tune into our show all around the world have an extraordinary opportunity to learn from you, Carolyn, and you are very integrous with your words and what you say and what you do. You don't tell people to do this stuff and then you yourself don't do it. And you're an advocate for natural remedies and reasonable medicine. You would never prevent somebody from having a drug therapy if it were necessary and if other nutritional assets had been employed or in a combination thereof. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, I've had surgery that's helped my hearing. I've had benefits from modern medicine. They should work hand in hand. We shouldn't trade off one for the other. It's ridiculous to think there's only one way. There has to be more of a balance. Now, I'm looking for for today's mailbag. I'll just go back to Melody Rose's, the question she sent in, so I don't lose them somehow. I have lost them. So someone is asking about vitamin D and blood thinners. And Dawn says, in discussions on vitamin D and COVID, my mother-in-law told me that her husband's doctor told him to quit taking vitamin D and calcium because of the blood thinners he was on. Does that make any sense? He's being treated for high cholesterol and has had some mild strokes in the past. I don't remember her saying anything about magnesium either. Now, what's going on there is that we do know that calcium is actually a factor in the blood clotting mechanism. We know that. It's called factor 4. And what some doctors assume is that if you have too much calcium, then you could be at risk for more blood clotting because you have extra calcium. Now, that can be true if you do have hypercalcinosis or whatever it's called. If you have hyperparathyroidism, for example, you can have high amounts of calcium in the blood, and you could be at risk for blood clotting. Now, how we get around that naturally, Dawn, is with our vitamin D, as I mentioned, we have D3 and K2. We have this K2 built right into the formula to prevent that calcium from just hanging out in the bloodstream. It shouldn't hang out in the bloodstream. The body is built to make sure calcium goes where it's supposed to. And it's built to work with vitamin K2. And if people aren't getting enough in their diet, then perhaps that's another cause of blood clotting. Also, magnesium will pull calcium to the bones, and magnesium will also help dissolve extra calcium that's hanging around in the blood or in soft tissue and put it where it belongs. So there's this balance of the nutrients that occurs, and absolutely, your mother-in-law told me her husband, whoever is on the blood thinners and could be at risk for COVID should definitely be on vitamin D, but not take calcium. So hopefully that answers Don's question. The next question is adverse reactions to vitamin D. And who's saying this? It's either Dean or Bonnie. Adverse reaction. Every type of vitamin D supplement I try, I react to. My scalp breaks out, or I retain water, or my taste buds are affected, or I feel lightheaded. These various reactions have happened with drops, tablets, gel caps, or various very pure brands of vitamin D and olive oil. My vitamin D level is 7. Yeah, that's terribly deficient. I take Tyrosint, a thyroid medication daily. I had a reaction to other thyroid meds due to binders and fillers. I'm 73. I take no other meds. I use a CPAP machine. That's for sleep apnea. Otherwise, my numbers from my physical were all good. I'm hoping you have a recommendation for me. So I don't know if this is the male or female who's writing in, and I can't, give medical advice. I've never heard of such reactions to vitamin D. My first question would be, what if you're in the sun and you're getting your sunshine vitamin D? I personally, if you could try our product and see if you react. But my first recommendation for myself would be to get myself in the sun and see if I had that reaction. And if I didn't, then get a vitamin D sun lamp to get my vitamin D that way until I start building up my magnesium from Remag, get my Remite for my thyroid, take our various products. I guess I would be going with Remag, Remite, Realign, and Pico Potassium, and improve the health of the cells of the body so they can go back to their genius way of working with vitamin D. You shouldn't be reacting like that. It doesn't make sense, but obviously it is happening. Don't know if it's toxicity when you talk about scalp breaking out. That implies actually yeast toxins, or retaining water implies you're not getting enough of all your minerals: sea salt, Remag, Remite, Pico Potassium. Taste buds being affected, that implies a zinc deficiency. So there's lots of ways to improve the health of your cells here to then get your vitamin D working properly for you and not against you. And the third of 3 questions we had today in the mailbag from Erin is, I'm on 3.5 teaspoons of Remag. That's a good amount. 1 1/4 teaspoons of Remite, and that's the amount that we recommend across the board. 1.25 of Recalcia, 6,000 IUs of vitamin D. Should I take more, being that I'm not outdoors much? I guess take more vitamin D, Erin is asking. Thank you for your time and consideration in my health. Love you all for being you. I'll be listening into. Okay, great, Erin. So the deal is, it's not good enough to just say to someone, take this much vitamin D. What you have to know is your baseline of your vitamin D blood levels. If you're taking 6,000 and your blood level is only 30, then the vitamin D calculator will probably say, well, Erin, you need 10,000. So you don't know until you do the blood test. And as we said, you could get your Grassroots health test through us. Just click on research project at rnareset.com. If you don't want all 4 tests, I think you can get a straight vitamin D test from Grassroots Health. Again, just an in-home finger prick test that anyone anywhere in the world can do. And once you have your test, you go to grassrootshealth.net and click on the vitamin D calculator and find out how much you should be taking. But if you're taking 6,000 of vitamin D, that means you're not taking our product, which is 5,000 D and 100 micrograms of vitamin K2. If you're taking a vitamin D, you should have one with K2. So when you finish off the one you're on, you can get our D3K2 reset. So those are the 3 mailbags. But it's interesting, Ginny, because our wonderful Lisa, who runs customer service, she sent me an email from a former client of mine who apparently it might have been on the show last week or somewhere. He said, I take 50,000 units of vitamin D plus K2, 200 micrograms every other day. It has helped alleviate some psoriasis on my leg. Reading your latest blast, I'm now concerned that I'm taking too much vitamin D3 and perhaps depleting magnesium. Okay, so he heard the radio show, emailed this to Lisa, and so I wrote back to this person, Okay. Well, I'll say his name. It's just the first name. Doug, you absolutely should have read my work. You should know that is just so inappropriate. You're medicalizing this vitamin D3, 50,000 units every other day. I mean, it's just an enormous amount. Psoriasis tends to be yeast overgrowth and the toxins from yeast. Okay, I'm happy it seemed to go away, but yes, you're going to be pulling down your magnesium, adding so much calcium to your body that can be precipitating in soft tissues. You're adding the calcium with the high doses of D3. He said, I do not wish to take an expensive blood test for vitamin D3. And I said, because I know Doug, so this is me telling Doug. I said, well, you better take a blood test because heaven forbid, how much have you gotten of this high dose vitamin D? Get our Grassroots Health Test Kit, and what you pay for it, you get back in products, and so you're paying for nothing. So Lisa said he listened to you and did the Grassroots Health Test Kit, smiley face. And then he writes back just to help fine tune. And his D3 was 109 nanograms per mil. I mean, we want 40 to 60. Now, 109 isn't dangerous, except that it's going to be using up your magnesium. Or to prevent prostate cancer, you do want to be around 90. And however, his omega-3 fatty acids was only 3.3, and it should be around 8. Ginny and I are working on an omega-3 product as well for people to get a good non-burping omega-3 that they can take consistently. His magnesium was 49, and the range at Grassroots Health is, I think, 23 to 46. So he's good on his magnesium. His TSH was low. It might have been a bit too low. So I asked him if he was on thyroid medication. So he's 71, 5'10", 210 pounds. And he's on a keto diet and intermittent fasting to lose weight. And he answers the question about how long have you been using Dr. Dean's products? Sporadically for over 6 years. And he's only taking about a teaspoon of Remag and a teaspoon of Remite most days. He's not drinking enough water. And he does use Redmond sea salt. And what improvements have you noticed on Dr. Dean's formulas? He says no AFib-like symptoms since Dr. C started me with Remag. Now, he's also taking L-arginine, serrapeptase, nattokinase, N-acetylcysteine, bioactive quercetin, GTF chromium. He is taking 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C, sometimes berberine. So what did I say to all that? He talks about his, it's like a carnivore keto diet, which means you're very low in potassium. So of course I told him about that. And so I answered him. Let me go back to my answer. Thank you for your patience with this, because some people write so much and I have to edit it as I'm going. So I told him that, not enough Remag, not enough Remite, more picopotassium is necessary. Get an omega-3 product, and with vitamin D, probably just stick with 10,000 units a day, and then repeat the test in 3 or 4 months and see if he's lowered his vitamin D somewhat. So that I thought that was interesting, coming right when we're going to do the vitamin D radio show here. And I'll pause now and ask Ginny if she has any other input. Oh yes, excuse me. He said he was taking a prescription medication, looks like an ACE inhibitor. And so I said to him, well, if you take more Remag and picopotassium, perhaps you won't need this ACE inhibitor, because it's a fairly high amount. And I think the doctor's probably partly treating his blood pressure, which, and I don't know what it is, and partly treating his overweight, because when you're overweight, your blood pressure will be elevated just to get the blood where it needs to go. So yeah, Doug is going to be able to be feeling better and better by taking um, more of our products. And yes, I did ask him, why he was taking all the others. I won't go into all those details. So, Ginny, anything to add there before we move on to the phones?
I do have 2 questions coming in on the chat line, Carolyn. Great presentation of information here. These are from our existing listeners who are asking about different topics. One of them is Johnny B from South Jersey. He wrote in last week on the show, but couldn't stay around to hear your answer, couldn't call in. And his question is the work of Dr. John Bergen. He's a chiropractor, and he thinks that Dr. Bergman suggests that neck and mid-spine misalignments are the reasons for PVCs and PACs and AFib. So Johnny said that he is taking the Remag and the Remite and the other products, but he's still experiencing PVCs and PACs. But what he says is, he says, I go to the gym every day and he's still having PVCs. So I asked him how much Remag he's taking, and he hasn't responded to me yet. What are your thoughts about people doing daily exercise or a fitness regime while they're trying to saturate with magnesium type of thing?
Well, yeah, there's many levels here. Yeah, I looked up Dr. Bergen. Yes, certainly chiropractors, they have found when people are in good alignment that they're healthier on all levels. But a misalignment is not going to replace your magnesium. I mean, it's just not. But if you're out of alignment, then being in alignment is very helpful. I go to a chiropractor most weeks, and I also use the Egoscu spinal alignment tower, because not everybody can go to a chiropractor or find one who is good and who will really help and not just put you through their assembly line. So we do talk about the Egoscu spinal alignment tower, EGOSCUE.com. You can check that out. Going to the gym every day, perhaps it means you're sweating out your magnesium and causing a bit of a vicious cycle there. It certainly does depend on how much Remag you're taking and picopotassium. We're finding out more and more about the importance of picopotassium. I have a whole lineup of Instagram testimonials here that I might shout out for Johnny B to understand the importance of all the minerals. So you can do your own neck and spine alignment if you don't have a really reputable chiropractor, or increase your minerals. And I'd say yoga is going to be more important for neck and spine alignment than jamming yourself with heavy aerobics, for example, people who are on those bikes, Jenny, golly, I've done, just a bit of it just to understand the mechanism. You are so tense on those racing bikes in the gym, trying to burn off the fat. You are actually throwing yourself out of alignment. I kid you not. So balance, balance, balance. The Instagram testimonials, someone says the combination of magnesium and potassium have really helped my AFib. Hello, Dr. Dean, I have your supplements, but for some reason I started with twitching legs, and it took me 2 months to realize that I was concentrating on magnesium and neglecting potassium. After taking pico potassium, lots of coconut water, and food with potassium, gradually the twitch seems to get better. Good Lord, so much to learn, Nora says. And Patrick says, yes, pico potassium has totally improved my energy levels, and it gave me a sense of calmness. It was the last missing piece for me that I was lacking, exclamation. Thank you for making it. We do need a bundle of 16-ounce pico potassium with Remag and Remite. And then he says, life-changing. It's so funny, Ginny, these Instagrams, they're sending all the emoticons, hearts and prayers and pats. It's very funny. And another one, Instagram. So for me, potassium made a pretty big difference too, along with Remag, even though I thought I was saturated with Remag because I've been using it for the past 3 years every day, but still I wasn't getting diarrhea. So I just kept taking 3 teaspoons. I believe potassium and Remag as a bundle would be perfect. From now on, I'll be always taking them together. I'm literally levitating with this combo. So I guess we're going to have to put in a 16-ounce potassium, Ginny.
Yeah, that sounds very exciting, Carolyn. We can absolutely do that. I'll send an
Yay.
email right now.
And while you do that, here's another potassium testimonial. Not Instagram, through customer service. I see Dr. Dean's formulas not as products, but I would rather call them true medicine. Who is this? Tina. So it's a female. In 2015, I crashed with a blood pressure of 250 over 120. I mean, that's horrendously high. The top one is supposed to be 120. I lay on the floor till my husband finished a 12-hour shift. I was only responsive to pain in the hospital. I stayed there for 3 days and 3 nights, etc., etc. The doctors couldn't figure out why I hadn't stroked out. They put me on lisinopril, an ACE inhibitor, and a diuretic. On the drugs, I was a zombie for several months, and they made me return to the doctor every 3 months for blood work. And then she goes into how she complained about why should she go to the doctor just to get a prescription. So they were billing her for that appointment, even though they told her she'd have to take it for life. But anyway, the doctor gave her potassium 1500 milligrams, and along with the diuretic, she was urinating every 5 minutes. She's in the medical field, and she said she shouldn't need an diuretic. And a second doctor she saw said that she knew too much and made her take the script. Anyway, found out about your Remag, started taking it, felt a lot better in my head, but still sort of foggy. And now I'm on day 4 of your potassium. I was hesitant about it because I didn't feel good on the 1500 milligram. So on day 1 of pico potassium, I was like, wow, I feel good today, alive, clear thinking, breathing better, and so on, and did not take any of my lisinopril. And I'm on day 4 of the potassium now, pico potassium, and I feel whole. She puts in caps. And I feel like a 30-year-old instead of a 60-year-old. So I wanted to thank Dr. Dean for not even having to see me, yet supplying what I needed to totally come off lisinopril. I am no longer nervous and with a sense of doom. I guess the best description would be that I'm again living from the heart and mind instead of the nervous system only. To me, this stuff is like a wellspring of life, or it has been for me. Isn't that awesome? That's potassium. Yay!
Yay, no, that is absolutely fantastic. Sorry, I've got so many screens open here. Sometimes it's hard for me to find my mute and unmute button. But
And
yeah,
Bob,
that is absolutely fantastic, Carolyn.
Bob said he'd yell yay in the background anytime you wanted him to.
Go for it, Bob. That sounds great. Sound effects, sound
Yeah.
effects.
Yeah, so last week we were emphasizing potassium, and now we've had all these reports on the success. I guess next week we'll follow up our vitamin D show today with reports on the success people are having with vitamin D. So we've only got a couple minutes to the hour. Do you have any more chats? I do have more testimonials, but
Yeah, I do on YouTube. Brittany is asking, she's a new listener and she was wondering about why we don't have a recommendation per se for a multivitamin. And I was talking to her a little bit about why you can use our minerals a little bit better than a multivitamin. Carolyn, you want to talk about why you don't recommend a multivitamin?
Right. I know I go over this in my head a lot, Brittany, because a multivitamin, it has so little of of everything that a person requires. It's like you're buying the label. You're not purchasing something that can really help you. And most of these multivitamins are synthetic, and so the dosage is low, they're synthetic, they're poorly absorbed. The minerals are dirt minerals. And what we've managed to do, and I think I have a blog on it somewhere, Ginny, is with our grouping of minerals, our Remag, Remite, and Pico Silver. We cover all the minerals. Remite has 12 different minerals, so you don't have to buy 12 different formulas. And for vitamins, we have our vitamin C, our vitamin D, and our vitamin Bs. They're in Realign. And what's left may be just your vitamin A, which is pretty high in in the diet. There's vitamin A that and excuse me, and vitamin E. And what we're looking at doing in our omega-3 product is putting in vitamin E and vitamin A. Let me clear my throat, Ginny. You take over.
Okay. Putting the vitamin E and A in our restructure product, I think is what Carolyn was, oh no, in the omega product, yes. And that's going to be really good because omega-3s are fat soluble, and A and E need to be taken with fat in order to be properly digested. As a matter of fact, if you take an A or an E without any fat in that same meal, you're not going to have the absorption that you need because of the way those vitamins work. And so again, this is just part of the wisdom, Brittany, of Dr. Dean, which is to not only know how the products need to be organized together and how they're metabolized properly, but also if you take a multivitamin, you can't break that vitamin up for dosing. In other words, if it has this much of this and this much of that, and what if you don't need that? All you need is magnesium, or what if you only need this or that? And I think the other thing about a multivitamin is it gives people a false sense of security. So we're at the top of the hour right now. What we're going to do is take a break, and we're going to go into our next hour here at Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. We'll be right back.
Thanks, Ginny.
We'll be back with Hour 2 of the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show, along with host Ginny Sanders, right after this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com. That's drcarolyndean.com.
Did you know there are 65 health conditions associated with magnesium deficiency? Magnesium deficiency is a public health crisis growing in scope and proportion. Dr. Carolyn Dean, author of The Magnesium Miracle, has identified over 65 health conditions associated with magnesium deficiency, 100 factors that lead to magnesium deficiency, and 24 reasons why magnesium deficiency occurs. Order The Magnesium Miracle today at Amazon.com and learn how to remedy this pervasive condition.
Do you have questions about your health? Are you wondering about alternatives? Do you ever wish you could have 5 minutes with a doctor you can trust? Someone who is an internationally recognized authority in the field of natural medicine? Meet award-winning doctor, naturopath, and best-selling author of The Magnesium Miracle, Carolyn Dean, MD, ND. Hear a wealth of information designed to empower listeners and callers to discover how to improve health, vitality, and well-being through a variety of safe strategies and nutritional options. Dr. Carolyn Dean Live. Shows can be heard every Monday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern, with weekly live shows, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Natural health, vitality, and well-being. Yes, everyone wants it, but not everyone is sure how to achieve it. Dr. Carolyn Dean's Completement Formulas are more than just dietary supplements. They're whole foods and picometer minerals designed to complete your nutrition, not just supplement it. Experience the difference Dr. Dean's formulas make. Visit RNAreset.com to learn more. That's RNARESET.com.
Omega Institute, offering workshops, retreats, and online learning dedicated to awakening the best in the human spirit. With more than 40 years at the forefront of holistic studies, Omega is known the world over as a trusted source for integrated approaches to personal growth and social change. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org or call 877-944-2002. Again, 877-944-2002.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Return now to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show, along with her host, cohort, and good buddy, Ginny Sanders. Phone lines are open during live broadcast.
All right, everybody, back hour 2, Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting humankind with universal love, or as I say on this show in particular, uniting the entire world with Dr. Carolyn Dean's wisdom and grace and her incredible formulas and her amazing blessings and the gift of her love and joy and all of her compassion. Wait a minute. Is that too much to say? No, but I'm just teasing. But
Wow. Wow.
Wow, we're getting united with a lot tonight, a lot. But we're so happy everybody's back. Hour two's the after set where all the cool stuff happens because the phones light up and people start calling in and sharing their stories and asking their questions and having all the goodness of all the very fun things that happen. And we're so happy to have everybody back with us in hour two. So let me just tell you, 646-558-8656 is the number to call. If you've seen it on any of our literature, on our website, on the YouTube channel here at Dream Vision 7, you know that you've got to put in the ID 8836953587. We're still working on fixing that, but for now, that's just the way it is. But we've got lots of people on the phone, so we know you can do it. You can do it. And *9 then, *9 once you're in the call actually raises your hand and lets me know you have a question or comment, and then I will take your phone off of mute. So we'll go to the phones, Carolyn, if you're good and you're ready.
Okay, good and ready. I'm good and ready.
Good and ready. Okay, very good. All right, so now I go to area code 248, and I've got to ask you to unmute 248. I've sent you a little blue box to your computer screen or phone, and you've got to click that box. There you are. Welcome, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then ask your question or comment.
Okay, my name is Denise, and I have received all of your products. I even called customer service to figure out what should I do next. I only had this one question, and it was about thyroid. Now, if you have had an operation and you don't have thyroid, it's still okay to do the Remite. Am I correct?
Oh, yes, Denise. The minerals in Remite do a lot of other things than just support the thyroid. I just got so excited about saying how much Remite helps the thyroid that it distracted people from realizing that it does so much more. If you want to learn more about it, Denise, go to my Remite book at drcarolyndeanlive.com. Did I tell you last week to read Pico Potassium book?
I just received my potassium today.
Oh,
because the HL fib, and I know the doctor went ahead. I just couldn't take the blood thinners anymore because it did horrible things to me. And the doctors went there. Well, we need to remind you. And I said, I don't care. I'm trusting God, and everything's going to be all right with me. I feel like so happy because I could eat greens and all these nice little vegetables that I couldn't have before. But I'm really excited about all of your products because then I don't have to worry about, is it going to interact with their blood thinners or whatever.
Right.
I'm just going to take your products by faith, and I'm already feeling better with them. I am. And so that was my next thing. I want to add the Remite in, but I was just didn't know whether you could take it if you didn't have a thyroid. And then my last final question, I'm so sorry about this.
Oh, no. We love hearing from you, Denise.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's like, you're graduating, you graduated off your meds, and, we don't tell people to stop their meds, but you're probably feeling better because you don't have the side effects of the meds.
Oh, yes. And she, they want to put you on the aspirins, but I was looking at that too. And I'm like, no, I know what to do. I'm just going to trust my...
Partly, and let's just reinforce here, partly the blood clotting starts when people aren't drinking enough water. It's that simple. They talk about people getting the leg blood clots when they're on an airplane. Well, what? You're sitting by the window. You don't want to drink because you don't want to bother getting up or bothering your seatmate, and your blood just gets thicker. You know what I'm saying? So if you're hydrated, that's number one. And number two, taking your magnesium has natural blood thinning properties in that it keeps your calcium from hanging out in your bloodstream and being the clotting factor instead of being where it should be in your bones. So you've got to beat.
And see, that's what I was thinking. I said, look, I'm happy with the Remag and the Remite, and when the Pico potassium came in, I think I jumped for joy because I said, now I know that this will help me address the atrial fib issue, but I just know that it's healthy for me to have in my body regardless. And my only question was left when because I forgot to ask your customer service, when I take your products, because of the thyroid medication, it always says wait 4 hours to take calcium, iron, magnesium, and all the other ones. Is your product something to wait 4 hours, or is it possible to take an hour after or 2 hours? Or
you do not have to wait because not at all, because what I think who knows why they make these rules, but I think with the magnesium, because it's such a laxative, they don't want people taking magnesium oxide, laxative type magnesium near medications, because you just flush them out down the toilet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, our minerals and our magnesium, it's absorbed in your mouth, for Pete's sakes. It's absorbed so quickly. It doesn't get anywhere near your intestines to cause things to move faster. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a study that says that that you don't have to take a synthetic thyroid. You shouldn't. Sorry, I don't have a study to prove what I just said, Denise. But
right.
I'm just speaking common sense.
Oh, I appreciate it. So now I can feel restful, because you don't know what a relief this was to me to be off of those things and switch over, because it was just making me go crazy. And now I said, oh, great, now I can have her products and feel comfortable and don't worry, and then have all these wonderful greens. And I just felt better. So I just appreciate you, and I just thank God for you, and just keep going on.
Okay, hon, here's something else now. This is a perfect time to tell you that as you're taking your Remite, even though you've had thyroid surgery, there still might be some thyroid tissue that's going to kick in. So, just pay attention to if you feel like your hands getting warmer, feel like your thyroid symptoms are a little less. I don't know specifically what you're feeling or even what you're on, but just be aware that your body could be making thyroid hormone in spite of the surgery.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wonderful. Is that wonderful? Should I say wonderful?
It is wonderful. Yes.
Wonderful.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you can get your God-given cells, all our cells are the same. We all have the same cells, and they all need the building blocks, and we're providing those building blocks. That's all. That's it.
Oh, wonderful. Awesome. I'm so excited. I thank the good Lord for you, and you all be blessed and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Denise. Same to you.
Thank you. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Awesome.
Awesome. Yes, that is why we love everything that we do. Okay, let's see. How about we're going to go to area code 847. 847, I just sent the little blue button to unmute your phone. If you could click on that to release your phone line, then we'll put you on the call with Dr. Carolyn Dean. Area code 847. I know it takes a minute for people to get to their computer, get to their phone, click the button, and figure out where they're at. But there you are. Welcome. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, this is Beverly. And I thought it was time to call in and make sure that I'm taking the right proportion of the products.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on the drops for 9 years, and then I started the Remag and realized early on that I couldn't take it down my mouth because I get diarrhea. Mm-hmm. And so I started putting it on my skin, and that seemed to work okay. And so as you added products, I bought more. And the ones that gave me the diarrhea, I just spread it on my skin. And when my skin started getting really dry, I assumed it was from the products. And I started mixing it with some fermented cream.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm taking the silver as directed on the bottle, and I take Reoline, the Flora, and the D3K2,
Yeah.
and Restructure.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got pretty much everything in there, but I just wondered about the proportions of everything. And I got this. And let me tell you one more thing. I got this thing called what is it? What is it? Oh man, this happens when I feel like I'm on the spot. Forget the name of it.
Is it a medication?
No, it's a condition where my blood vessels are all messed up.
Vasculitis?
Something like that. Yeah, similar. Oh, Wigner's disease.
Oh yeah, I remember you. Your questions in the past. So you're wondering about proportions. Well, Beverly, I mean, this really is a question for, an in-depth question with an in-depth answer. I think it's best that I answer this through email, going through customer service like you've done in the past, do the tier 2 questions. So I know exactly everything you're taking and what your reaction has been. As you say, you have this sensitive gut, and I think Wegner's is part of that. So if you don't mind doing it that way, that will get me to focus rather than trying to rush through this. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
So do it through what again? How do I get in touch with you?
Where do you want Beverly to get in touch?
She can email questions, questions, at drcarolyndeanlive.com. Questions at drcarolyndeanlive.com, Beverly, and that'll get straight to Melody Rose, and Melody Rose will get it straight to Dr. Dean.
Perfect.
Okay. Questions at drcarolyndeanlive.com.
And the doctor, Beverly, is drcarolyndeanlive.com. And then what we'll do is, find your previous, or you can remind us of your previous questions and where you've been. But let me just say this, or ask this question while you're on. Have you noticed any improvement with the formulas?
Especially with the magnesium. I was getting pretty bad leg cramps quite a while back, and that definitely relieved them.
Even though you're not able to take it by mouth, just by on the skin. Wow. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so after 9 years, yes, it's time we fine-tuned your program. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, Beverly, thanks for calling. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Carolyn. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, wonderful questions. Let's go to area code 608, the great state of Wisconsin. 608, if you could unmute your phone. There you are for Dr. Dean. Go ahead, please, with your question or comment.
Is that me?
That's you.
What's your first name? Uh-oh.
Hello.
She gets so excited she blipped off, Jenny.
Hello. 608. There you go. Go ahead, please.
Hi, this is Betsy. And my daughter is on life support in the ICU, and I might start crying. And she's 46. She started drinking, I think, when she was 13, diagnosed with alcoholism. When she was 15, she has cirrhosis, multi-organ, what do you call it?
Failure.
So they're all
failure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the palliative doctor called today because he said we're coming. I'm skipping all the other stuff and getting to the end, and then I'll go back. And he said it's a fork in the road when we move from the trachea to the tracheostomy. And I thought, I've got to talk to you and find out if there's anything that if I find anything out, if they'd agree to try, if there's anything that could be done, because apparently the clotting factor is not good. She was in the hospital first for 2 weeks on IV antibiotics, and paracentesis removed 6 liters of fluid. When she went home, and and I don't remember the name of the medication you take to remove the toxins from the liver that make you poop, but she was not compliant with that.
Cholestyramine? Cholestyramine?
It could be. She had hepatic encephalopathy, and I did get to see her once in the hospital during the first 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks, and I'm sorry, I'm skipping around a lot. And her skin was quite jaundiced. Then she finally got back to her primary Thursday this past. No, it's maybe more than that. In September, the last Thursday of September, and her blood pressure was so low. He sent her to the ER. Back up on the medical unit, she aspirated, and that's how she wound up on the ICU. And
how old is she, Betsy? How old is your daughter?
She's 45.
45, right. Well, about all they'll let you do at this point, because I mean, we're making strides about getting Remag onto the drug formularies in hospital with our studies. But at this point, I mean, the best you can do is get our Remag lotion and ask them if they could put that on her for her skin, or if you don't think they'll do anything that looks like it's a nutrient, put the Remag lotion in a skin cream bottle with a different label and ask them to put that on her. That's about the only thing that doctors will let happen to someone who's under this type of strict care. It's like they try to remove all the variables of everything else. Don't let anything else happen. And partly because they don't have a clue that of the importance of nutrients. I mean, if I was in charge of her care, I'd be putting her on milk thistle for the liver and all our nutrients, and Epsom salts baths. I mean, the works, but there is not one hospital in America who will do anything like that.
Well, I was wondering, and the ICU doctor changes every week. There are 2 of them, and they go back and forth. So I got to know this one, and now we got a new one, and I haven't heard from it. And Wisconsin's COVID numbers are so high you can't get in the hospital unless. But I was wondering to myself if maybe because the next step is palliative care and take her off all life support, if they might agree, would you, I mean, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Would the Remag going into her feeding tube or whatever do any good, or are you saying more of the milk thistle and the Epsom baths and stuff like that?
Well, that's if there was full care, but yes, the first step, many of our, I don't know how many, but there are customers of ours who put Remag in the feeding tubes of their loved ones, and that definitely is the first step, because magnesium takes care of 80% of known metabolic functions, or it supports 80% of known metabolic functions. So that's where you would begin. So yes, I mean, yeah.
But if you were in a coma and they were going to put some Pico Remag in, how much would you want them to put in?
Well, you'd just be looking at a daily dose, and it could be anywhere from 2 teaspoons to 4 teaspoons a day. That's 600 milligrams to 1200 milligrams. So that's sort of the standard range of someone starting, but you'd start slowly with, just as we tell everybody, start slowly with a quarter teaspoon and work up.
And I forget, but I was asking the doctor about what magnesium tests they take, and she said we test the magnesium in the bloodstream. And I questioned her about that, and she said, well, if it's in the blood, it goes to the organs. So is that right? Because I've read the book, and then I just forgot.
Well, she's talking about serum magnesium, and that's in the blood, and it's not the best measure. It's not a measure at all of what goes into the cells. That test is an ionized magnesium test. Now, some ICUs are starting to use the ionized magnesium test, which is amazing, but I'm sure she's testing the serum.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So if I was going to ask, if I had a miracle and the doctor was agreeable to try, because the next step is palliative, and if he agreed to milk thistle, what amount would you suggest?
Well, like I said, you start with a quarter teaspoon and work up.
Milk thistle?
Oh, of milk thistle. I haven't recommended that in such a long time. I don't know dosing, but you can look up Betsy milk thistle for liver disease and find all kinds of studies about it and show them to the doctor. But that's the main treatment for hepatitis. I don't know about alcoholic cirrhosis, what the main treatment is for that. That's why I just say Remag to just support cells and just hope for the best.
So just do the same dose into the IV as you do if you're freestanding.
Into the feeding tube, yeah. They just dilute it in some liquid and put it in the feeding tube.
And is there any other thing you might suggest?
Well, for just normal nutrition instead of the Ensure and those horrible sugary things, the Restructure. Restructure could be quite amazing to be used, and then you would open up the Realign in the Restructure. You would start giving the other minerals, the Pico potassium and the Remite. I mean, they're all just waiting. Her cells are just waiting to have nutrition.
So, because I have the Restructure at home, and then also, and the Realign, if they just that restructure and a bottle of Line and the Pico Potassium. Is that what you mean? Or is all of that in the restructure?
No, they're all different products. And what I'm going to do,
I have them.
yeah, they're all the different products that we have. But you know what you could do, Betsy, is get in touch with Julie at customer service. She helps. Not that we want to treat your daughter, but just for questions, because as you can imagine, that this is very detailed and fine tuned.
I know.
Yeah,
I
but
think
I'm
they-
glad you got through, and there's a start of some answers, because what you're wondering is, should you just say, okay, put her in palliative care where you have more control over what she's taking, because in palliative care, they've given up on her, right? And so you say, no, this is where I can start doing something.
Oh, yes. Look outside the box. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. And I'm serious about customer service. If you get in touch through customer service support at RNA Reset and ask for Julie, then she deals with what does Julie deal with? I mean, Julie is.
I know Julie deals with all the people that I send it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Julie is one of our many angels. Okay, Betsy, you're good for now?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Dean.
Okay, Betsy, good talking to you,
Okay.
and God bless.
Okay, very good. All right.
I'm here. I am here.
I am here too. I'm here. There we go. Goodness gracious. All right, let's go to our next caller this evening, and we're going to go to area code 585. 585. I've pushed the unmute button. Unmute 585, 585. You see the little blue unmute button? And then click that button and I can bring you on the phone.
Yay.
Yay. Area code 585.
Yeah, at the top of my screen here, I see all these numbers. Is that what you're looking at, Ginny?
It could be. Hello. 585, you're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Yay.
Hi, this is Deborah. Hi.
Hi, Deborah. Yay, you made it past the portcullis and the moat and all the people aiming arrows at you. You got through. Welcome.
Yay. Thank you. So my question is, I heard you mention about cold hands and cold feet, and it's interesting because I had a conversation with my girlfriend as we were outside sitting around a beautiful fire in upstate New York. And she was talking about, I don't know why, but I just have these cold hands and feet. And I said, oh my gosh, me too. So I'm 38. She's around the same age as me. And I'm like, it must be like a getting older thing. And I'm I got to figure this out. What's going on?
Okay, so what's going on? I was going to jump in and say the most likely thing is thyroid. The thyroid is low, but maybe it's just a circulation thing and needing more magnesium. So are you on any of the products, Deborah?
I am on everything. I just got the potassium. I just got I started the D3. I started the probiotics. I'm feeling better, but yes, I am on low doses of Pico Potassium. I just started with 1/8 of a teaspoon. Calcium just started with 1/8 of a teaspoon. Remag, I'm on probably about 1/2 teaspoon. And then the Remite, I'm on probably 1/4 of a teaspoon.
Okay. So it's the Remite, if I mentioned it, yes, I did, with Denise, was it? Somebody, about Remite has 9 of its 12 minerals supporting thyroid hormone production. So that when you get up to 1.5 teaspoons, when I first started the Remite, when we were in the testing phase, after 6 weeks, I was able to get off my Armor Thyroid 60 milligrams, and my hands and feet started to warm up, and I started to get a little hyper, so I knew I was getting too much thyroid hormone, so I stopped my Armor. So I know personally it works. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of people who've improved their thyroid blood tests with Remite. So we hope the same for you if your hands and feet, if the chilliness in them is related to thyroid. If it's not, then the Remag is going to help, because Remag helps improve circulation and temperature control. So when you get up, when you get up to, more like 2 teaspoons of Remag, then the circulation and temperature control will improve. So what you'll do, Deborah, is you slowly build up everything. Then you'll come back to us maybe in 2 or 3 months and tell us everything's perfect.
I would love to, and I got to tell you something. So when I go up, let's see, I had the postpartum post-thyroid, hyperthyroid after I gave birth to my son, but my son is 13 now. But I got to tell you something. They still have me on the methimazole for hyperthyroid, but I have no antibodies to the to the Graves' disease, and I have very, very low antibodies for hypo, which they're not even high enough to even do anything about. But I need to get off the methimazole. I don't have any antibodies to it.
Right.
And plus I added all your other stuff. So I'm thinking that, the inflammation, I did inflammation markers, that's all low. So I'm like, I need to get off this medicine. I've been on it for all these years.
Wow. I mean,
I think maybe that's causing you to be cold.
Right. If it's kind of suppressing your thyroid to an extent now that, I mean, did they mean to leave you on it all these years? I never heard of it being used for so long.
I fell through the cracks. I have a crappy endocrinologist.
Gotcha.
I did all my research, and I'm like, listen, like, I know that heals after you, how many ever months after you have your baby. And then I moved from state to state. And then this one is just not, I'm like, but it's interesting because every time I try to get off of it, because sometimes I'll try to lower my doses by myself, but then my heart will start pounding. So I don't know if it's like in my body for all these years now, and it's going to be something that I'm going to have to go through and feel, because it's like my body.
What will be great here, Deborah, is you won't try to wean it until you're up to at least 2 teaspoons of Remag, because that will help keep your heart and your electrolytes along with your potassium. Then your heart won't react in that way.
Okay, so I should I've been on 1/8 of a teaspoon of potassium now for like a week.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine to go up to the 1/4, and you probably just need to do that for 2 days. As far as we've heard through customer service, people don't have a revving up with the pico potassium. Jenny, would you say that's true? That people kind of sail through their introduction to the pico potassium?
I would agree. Absolutely. I mean, the body needs so much, and the dose is so small that it's really not difficult to work with at all.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I've added in some red potatoes too. I try to, I have them with my breakfast, and then sometimes I'll make fries with them. You know what I mean? Just to get like more potassium in the red potato. But yeah, I'm definitely going to try that. When I go past the 1/2 teaspoon of Remag, like when I add another 1/4 of a teaspoon, so let's say I'm on 3/4 of a teaspoon, I get really tired.
Yeah, sometimes people go through that. take the extra bit at night so that you can sleep it off. It's just your body healing. It's going through, the fact that you've starved it all these years and been low in magnesium. I mean, people are different. Some people they just need to sleep as their body heals. Some people it revs them up. It may be you're a little more laid back, having gone through hyperthyroidism. You don't want to do that again.
Oh yeah. No, I'm so scared to go through that again. It was like my heartbeat was 200 beats per minute, drove myself to the hospital. They pumped me with propranolol and all that. So yeah, I'm so scared to go through that. But that's the only medication I'm on, and I'm only on it's like 5 milligrams every other day, and then alternating with 2.5 milligrams every other day. So I'm like, it's such low doses anyway. But yeah, I will try the extra dose of Remag at night, and work my way up, because I've been on the Remag and the Remite for probably about a year now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I kind of back down once I get to the 3/4 of a teaspoon, because I'm like, maybe I'm saturated. But I got to tell you, I did do the Grassroots health, and so this week I should have my results.
Oh, good. Yes. Let us know, because I'm sure you need more, but you're just sort of afraid to go through the transition of how your body's reacting. Yeah. Well, you'll just keep in touch with us then, and we'll pat you on the head. No, we won't. We'll tell you to. What do we tell her to do, Ginny? What do we tell people? We've got your forehead. Is that what we say these days?
We say we've got your forehead, your feet, your back, your heart, your brain, your circulatory system, your immune system. We got it all.
Endocrine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Those silly endocrinologists. Imagine keeping you on that drug for 12 years. That's
I
crazy.
know. And there's such a lack of the endocrinologist. It's like there's one every, 50 miles. So it's like, and you can't change them within the same practice. And so, it is what it is. So I have to take my own, take it into my own hands and just trust God, you know. And you guys, because I trust you guys so much, because I was literally dying last year. I don't know what was going on with me. I was so stressed. I was depleted of everything. I had adrenal fatigue. I mean, I had, and your what is it? The new probiotics I've been on for a week, and I have no more GERD, no more nothing. Like, it's been a miracle.
Yeah. That's awesome. Oh yeah,
so
help is on the way. Help is on the way. And as you heal your gut, then the other whatever side effects you're having or whatever's going on, everything boosts. What is it that you said, Ginny? Something raises all the boats.
A rising tide raises all the boats. Yes.
So you're on the rising tide, Deborah.
I am, and I claim it. Yes, I do.
Awesome. Okay, sweetheart.
Have a beautiful night. I'll keep you posted.
Thanks. Great. Bye-bye.
Oh, what great callers tonight, Carolyn. Yay, more yays. Just a cavalcade of yays. It's incredible.
Awesome.
All right, we've got somebody calling in from your home state, 808, area code 808. I'm asking them to unmute 808 and come into the party. When you see the little blue thing come up on your screen, there you go, 808. Please give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Aloha, it's Ku'ule calling in.
Hello. It's been a while.
Hi, Dr. Dean. Yes. And I had to take an emergency call about 10 minutes ago, so I hope my question isn't a repeat of someone who might have asked this question. And that is, I often hear of vitamin D connected to mood or depression. And I hadn't heard anything about that in tonight's discussion. And the reason I ask is that I recently was tested for on my vitamin D. It was at 11, or it was at 19, and then it went to 11. So I am planning putting together an order right now as far as your products, and I'll start on the vitamin D, DK. And meanwhile, my doctor put me on 50,000 UIs or whatever it is for now, and so I'm going to switch over. But I wanted to know about the connection of low vitamin D and mood or depression.
Well, yes, I think Chad put out or is putting out posts this week, and he puts in about the mood. Definitely. I mean, you can look up the science. They even talk about major depressive disorders, mood disorders, major depression, seasonal affective disorder. They've done a lot of studies, and that's in the lineup. I haven't talked about it that much. I did. You see, our customer base, they're on usually several of our products, and when they do the D, they're not taking it so much for a mood problem or anything specific. They're taking it on our advice to support the immune system and get their blood levels up. So we'll be getting reports from people as they tell us about how it's affecting them. But Kool-Aid, I really have to caution you about taking that 50,000 units, because you're going to slam your magnesium.
Oh, I've increased my magnesium in order to fix that, because in previous years I was on 100,000 per week, and I couldn't figure out why the magnesium wasn't working, when you first brought the product out, and for the longest time. And so one night when you were talking about vitamin D, and I went, oh no, that's the answer, because I couldn't figure out what was going on. And my doctor is very supportive of me taking all of your products, but because so I'm wondering, I take it there's a dosage amount on the bottle that you have to stay within certain parameters. But no, I can't ask you that. I'm trying to think of how to ask you.
Well, in terms of, you're wondering how much of ours to take. Well, it is based on your blood levels. So, right now at 9, when I was 19 and I thought, I'll take 5,000. No, I need more. And 10,000 after, I think I took 6 months to repeat it, but 10,000, 6 months, I was at 53. So that's all I needed to get up there. So, but what's interesting, Kool-Aid, I have my Remac, of course, and I was up way high, and my magnesium levels dropped because my magnesium was being pulled over to work on the vitamin D. So I know that. I know there's that interaction. So just follow your blood levels. What I would do is you get our D3K2 if you can get them to do another blood test and see what the 50,000, see how much that has given you. And then from there, if you heard earlier, go to grassrootshealth.net and plug in your value, and they'll tell you how much vitamin D3 to take.
Right, and I am signing up for that this week. And so next week when I see my doctor, I'm sure he'll say, let's do a vitamin D test so that I know how much to start on the on your product.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Very good. But yes, definitely mood and depression are an aspect of vitamin D deficiency. And that's crazy that you hadn't been tested on your vitamin D, or had you? Of course you had, because you were on 100,000 K.
Yeah, for years. And right now I'm living in northern Wisconsin. So it had actually gone down to 11. And from the 19, it went down to 11. And of course, my mood was very low, and we were trying to figure out what's going on. And so I'm the one who said, let's test my vitamin D again, because I thought it was going up. But so I've been on 3 weeks of that. And so I will, I have mast cell activation disorder, so I get hot real easy. So I had to stay inside all summer. And so I wasn't getting vitamin D from the sun. And I think that's why it went down so low.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I know. It's like we're doing a constant experiment on our bodies, aren't we? It's really quite amazing.
I tell people this is a full-time job.
Yeah. Okay, very good then. Please, keep us posted, okay?
Will do. Thank you so much.
Okay, Kool-Aid. Bye-bye.
Aloha.
Aloha, of course.
Isn't that sweet, Carolyn? It would make sense that vitamin D would affect your mood because being out in the sun makes everybody so happy.
Oh,
right?
Oh, that's perfect reasoning. Reasoning.
Yeah,
Awesome.
if you're in the sun, you're making vitamin D and you're happy, and the sunshine makes everybody happy, and then you don't have it, and boo boo.
Where'd you go?
I'm here.
I'm here. What happened? Something clicked on my computer and my sound went off. So I'm sorry for that thumping around. I don't know where that came from. Apologies to the tech body.
Very good. Okay, we've got a few minutes until the top of the hour. So let's see, we've got 6 minutes. So what would you like to do? Tell a few stories, have a few laughs, talk about how great your husband Bob is. What would you like to do?
All that and more. Let me whip through some testimonials because Bob loves hearing the testimonials.
Okay.
Yeah, here's one on zinc. I just received my Pico Zinc. Thanks for these wonderful products. God bless you for your awesome work. Oh, that's a general. Aren't we wonderful? Thank you, Mervis. Lifelong customer testimonials, I call these. Emily says, I will be a loyal customer and RNA reset advocate for the rest of my life, no matter what. Thanks so much. Beth says, thank you for these products. They are beyond life-changing. Now, here's an interesting one on calcium. Someone says, I quit calcium, took up Remag, and got rid of calcification in my joints and got rid of my palpitations. Now, that's very important. I'm doing a blog now on calcification. Folks have no idea how much damage calcification is causing. Some doctors call it the reason for aging, and head to toe calcification. It even boggles me. And there is no treatment for calcification in the body. None of it. Cut it out, give drugs for the pain. But we have one answer in saturating enough with magnesium that the calcium dissolves and then gets directed to the bones. So calcification is huge. Comment on our women's webinar. Thank you so much for the incredible webinar and the coupon. I was finally able to order Rebob. We're so excited. Someone says, love my Remag, changed my life. Someone says, I feel more centered since taking Remag. I have a history of bipolar. Thank you, Carolyn Dean. You are a lifesaver. Someone says she's on chemo and it causes dehydration. So she takes her Remag at night and it made a huge difference. Someone says, after seeing how much better Remag absorbed and alleviated my leg cramps while on my keto diet, I have learned that zinc is also crucial for a strong immune system. So I ordered some, confident that the Pico aspect will also do better at absorption than conventional supplements. So that's Michael. Absolutely, Michael. Marcia is saying, good morning. So far, your products are excellent. Remag has helped me to sleep like a rock. I often deal with severe insomnia, and my sister told me about the many benefits of magnesium. She was absolutely right. It helps to stop the monkey brain, and when I take it, I feel a huge difference in how deep I sleep. I also am able to fall back to sleep when I do wake up and my brain kicks on. I also bought your vanilla flavored protein powder, and it makes my smoothies delicious. It even improves the texture. This is Brian. This product works amazing. A month ago, I had restless legs at night that left me sleepless for about 2 weeks. In addition, I also had twitchy muscles that would keep waking me up. That experience was one of the worst I ever had in my life. I finally started researching and saw that it was related to magnesium deficiency. I went to my doctor, requested blood work. They wouldn't do it. So I decided to take matters into my own hands and started experimenting. I came across, excuse me, this product, Remag, after looking around, and it's been like night and day. After using it, I'm finally sleeping and getting some rest. I'm not totally all the way back, but I'm a hell of a lot better than I was before. And here's another potassium. I'm wondering, I read your potassium article. I do the keto diet. It's helped with candida issues. I take Remide all the time. I eat strawberry smoothies every day. Do I need potassium supplements? And I said to her, you have to add up the potassium in your diet at chronometer.com, CRONOmeter.com, and see if you're getting 4,700 milligrams a day. And if you're not, you need Pico potassium. And I'll stop and give you the final minute, Jenny.
It's exactly 1 minute. Absolutely. Yes. Great show. Great information. Great callers. Very fun engagement this evening. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Carolyn, for your incredible treasury of wisdom and all your love and support. Thanks, everybody.
Yes. Thank you, Ginny. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, listeners.
You've been listening to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show. For questions about today's broadcast, email Dr. Dean at questions@drcarolyndeanlive.com. That's questions@drcarolyndeanlive.com.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.